Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the dinosaurs led by Lord Shaftesbury facing off against the ogres. We're going to be helmed by Saint Zoo here on the battle for Itza, so it is going to be very fast, very furious. Itza is one of our smaller maps we use in competitive play and tournament play, and it's a ladder map as well. But yeah, it gets to action really, really quick. Now for the Dino Army, it's going to be a mass amount of chameleon skinks. Looks like it's going to be 6 or 5 in total, 5 of those bad boys. So they're okay at skirmishing with ogres. They do have their little blow darts, which do good damage against light armor. So if you're just shooting at, well, pigback riders have shields, but I think basic Noblars don't. I'm not sure, but shooting at basic ogre bull models is honestly relatively cost effective, and they can get up and grab the objectives, and they themselves have missile resist as well. So if they're being shot by some of the counter skirmishing that the ogres have, like their slingers and whatnot, the 40% missile resist isn't going to be terrible. Aside from that, we got a couple spears. It is going to be Saurus spears and more spears, so that's it. And a red-crested skink chief, who's all the hotness for lizards these days. And for a cheap expendable lord that even if he gets karate chopped, he's so cheap to bring back. I think he's like 700 or something. He can get in and fight the big boys. He's got anti-large and has a really good anti-large value of 30. Plus, he does have colossal strike as well. So if he has to fight something big, he can get in there with his pimp cane and do some great work. Aside from that, what do we got? A beastcaster. Going to be there with Flock of Doom. Very, very classic stuff. And for the Ogre army here of Saint Zoo, it is going to be a massive line of Noblars and Pigbacks with Iron Fist Ogres, which is a good call, considering that the Lizardmen have a fair amount of annoying poke and javelins and things like that. Having the shielded Ogres is good. And Lead Belchers are probably one of the best units on the roster. You could just kind of sit back and have the Lead Belchers annihilate the Spears, and when the Spears are gone, you move forward in Unga Bunga. But this Ogre player, he's not playing that game. He's moving up and grabbing the objectives. Right on the side here, we do see Pigback Riders going to battle the Chameleon Skinks, and I would imagine the Chameleon Skinks will be able to handle them. They have 15 armor. They do have the bronze shields, which mitigate a small percentage of the damage, 35% as you can see here, or of the hits, but here we are going to be seeing them probably still get melted by 2 Chameleon Skinks. And in the mainline fighting, we do see a rampaging Saber Tusk, and it looks kind of like the Ogres might want to move in. Oh, this is weird. What the hell is going on with these guys? They're like rampaging, and then they just broke. They had to think about it there for a second. Lead Belchers shooting into the Chameleons on the backside of the objective, and they are able to force them back, but that is where the 40% does come into play. I believe it would mitigate the overall damage from the Lead Belchers. Definitely should park some Ogres over here on the side objective, get these Ogre Bulls with the Iron Fist over there. Lead Belcher is going to continue shooting, and now the mainline fighting is going to be underway here in a second, as we do see Lead Belchers from downtown shooting into the Saurus Spears in the backfield, which are retreating out of range. Not a bad idea. And try and find your advantages elsewhere while the spears hide a little bit. Maybe you poke with your skinks, move in. So, Umbral Tide is a great choice against ogres. This is a great anti-large poke stick. Right now, the ogres are blundering quite a bit in some ways. They definitely should have been more aggressive on Objective 3. Understandably, they're not going to press Objective 1. I mean, the Lizards have a pretty big force up there, including their Lord, but definitely should have had this one a little bit earlier. Not the end of the world, but we do see an overextension of the of the Lead Belchers here. They both start with an L, and the Umbral Tide able to kind of sneak up on those guys and get creepy and get some nice fire attacks, and you can see they're melting some HP right there, as those Lead Belchers do get it. These guys do have stock, which is really nice, so even if you call them in, normally Lead Belchers would be able to shoot you and see you coming, but you're able to spring nice little ambushes like that. So finally, we do see the Ogres take their side objective, and they do get a Mournfang Cav with great weapons, which is going to be pressuring on the side, chasing off the Skinks. Mournfang Cav with great weapons will defeat Coldland Spear Riders, especially with pigback support, but these are just Noblars. But even still, they should be able to win the fight against the Coldland Spear Riders, but the Spears would be able to eventually probably grind them out, because they are Saurus Spears. They have high weapon strength, and their shields are broad and their armor thick. Well, not really, but you can see they got 60 armor there. Lizards kind of cackling on the high ground a little bit, just enveloping, which is very cool to see. We see all the little Chameleon Skinks poking into various parts of the formation. We even have some of the backfield. The Saber Tusk could really feast on those guys, potentially. And Ogres just trying to figure it out and getting pulled a little bit too greedily and too deeply here. And it looks like the Mournfang Cav did end up losing because we had another call-in of a Feral Cold One. So the Feral Cold One plus the Spear Rider were able to overwhelm right there. That's a lot of armor piercing, and those are just basic Noblars, which are not going to be anywhere near as cost-effective as a support piece as the frickin' Saurus Spears, which were standing under the Lizardmen. Lead Belcher is still shooting relatively happily. One of them does get mowed down. Ogres are chortling on the middle objective here, and you can see in the most recent patch, we didn't get any good multiplayer stuff, which was unfortunate. Not that we needed a ton, but there are little issues. We can see now who has the objective, so there's a little icon appearing above both of those, and you can see who has the objective, so huge quality of life fix for sure. That was actually quite a nice little Christmas present. Salamander shooting away, and we do see some Ogre units, some Noblars and Pigback Riders trying to chase those bad boys down, screen them out. As it currently stands, Ogres have this objective, and they do also have objective 3 over here. Bloodbelcher is getting forced into melee a little bit, but they're just against Chameleon Skinks, and a bit of a micro blunder by the Lizardmen. Ogre Bulls are going to get these bad boys in melee, and they're going to be eating some lizards here tonight, that is for sure. Countercharge coming in from the Cold One Spear Riders and the Feral Cold Ones. That should be pretty cost effective. Cold One Spear Riders do pretty well, and Clever Girls do have 90 armor, so even against the standard Ogre Bull units, they can hang. Looking around to see what the Lords are up to, we do see the Slaughtermaster in the middle trying to hold that objective, but it looks like the Lizards do get a Sara Spear on the point and a second Sara Spear. So that's almost 10 capture weight. It would be 10 normally, but this one's injured, so he's probably down to like 3.5, give or take. And the Red-Crested Skink Chief is tied up in Pigback Rider. Certainly not his favorite hobby. Flock of Doom, overcasted on the Lead Belchers, does some good damage, and it does look like Lord Shaftesbury going to be running to try and take down the shooting, which is a good call, but he is going to get counterpunched potentially here by the Mournfang Cav. So the big Cav, and these Cav are quite giant, the Mournfangs with their big beat sticks, are going to be probably able to crush these Cold One Spear Riders. And I would imagine that we are going to be seeing Lord Shaftesbury probably try and make an escape right here. Now, value trading's pretty even in this game. We do see 4,000 for St. Zoo versus 3,400 for Shaftesbury. Granted, this game doesn't really, it doesn't always track everything perfectly. I'm pretty sure Flock of Doom is something that doesn't get tracked properly, so probably very, very even here. So yeah, this is a decent play, right? You're like you overextend into a bad situation, and you're probably going to lose the unit or be put in a bad position. Just like make them chase you to the corner of the map, right? It's very classic RTS. If they want to finish off your unit, you have to waste their time, maybe run over here or try and squeak away over there, and that's what the Lizardmen are doing right now. High ground objective owned by the dinosaurs. We do see some Noblars moving over there, some Pigback Riders looking to maybe grab that objective if they can. Objective Dose is owned by the Lizards, and we have the big plays here. The Ogre Lord actually getting a little bit surrounded, and we got our WWE Skink Chief here, and he is able to bonk him on the head pretty damn hard. Now, it is a Wind Blast caster, which isn't terrible at clearing out Skinks, and it's okay against ours. Not the best, but he is able to get away. That's pretty big. So the Ogre Lord does manage to flee the scene. We do see Ogre Bulls being called in, as well as Saber Tusks, to try and salvage that situation. And that was a big play for sure. Because the Ogres, the only healing they're going to be having is the Meat Feast, since they brought Heaven's Magic. Heavens is okay here. I still think that if you're going to be bringing Mournfang Cavalry and some big heavy hitters, probably going for healing is better. But it's not the worst. Like, clearing out just legions and legions of Red-Crested Skinks and just Gremlins is pretty cost-effective for sure. Up on the point, it is owned by Ogres. Skink Cohort's going to be on their way in, but a Mournfang Cavalry unit most likely going to be able to run interference, and the Lizard's going to be calling out some heavy anti-large in the Colossadon Hunters, and over the course of this match, we have been seeing the Salamanders basically shooting nonstop. These guys have just been feasting, accruing a hell of a lot of value, I would imagine. You can see these Ogre Bulls here are going to be getting it pretty bad, losing a lot. Let's see what the value actually is on Umbral Tide. So Umbral Tide, it's always a little bit tricky to check that. You have to like move the mouse in a weird way. Only 700 so far, so nothing too crazy. Now, Ripperdactyls landing on top of the Ogre Bull Iron Fists, maybe not wanting to fight the Mournfang Cav straight up. Great Salamander positioning. Middle objective, and the high ground actually gets stolen by the Ogre Kingdoms. Very, very nice here by St. Zoo, so he is able to get some Ogre Bulls, and that's one of the things about Ogre Kingdoms. They can just get such aggressive fast capture weight because their infantry have, 48 to 54 movement speed, depending on the type. It is so incredibly quick, and Lizardmen can do that too with their 46 movement speed infantry here on the Skink Cohorts, but it's not quite the same because a Skink can be bullied off an objective easily, whereas an Ogre Bull is a bit of a different story. Now, we do get the Kaiju fight here. It is going to be the Ripperdactyls. Did they pop Toad Rage? They did, so they're all the rage right now. But Mournfang with Massacre activated, they're going to be jacked. 24 melee attack is pretty nuts, so they're just having a nice, sweaty back-and-forth fight right here. But it looks like the Toad Rage does outshine the Massacre buff, and the Toad Rage is able to be unleashed in its full form and melt those Mournfang Cavalry. So that's a really, really nice win for the Lizards, because they were able to trade a Colossadon Hunter for an expensive unit, but still keep it functional. It still has 7 of 10 models, which means it's going to be very good at chasing down routing Ogre Bull models and doing its thing. Back here, Ogre Lord kind of chilling out. I feel like the Lord has been maybe one of the weak links this game for the Ogres. Having a big Troll Guts right there to help in that fight against the Colossadon Hunters would be big. Having a Troll Guts for himself would be quite nice. Heavens might be viable as like a mainline spell lore against like Chaos Dwarves for using the Thunderbolt to snipe artillery, although I think that got they changed that a little bit in one of the previous patches. I don't know if it's as effective as it used to be. Pigback Knights moved in, one of the most annoying units in the game. These guys are really, really strong, but they'll still be taken down by large amounts of chaff. Wind Blast going down there, and you can see how subpar it is, even against a 60 armor unit, because Wind Blast itself as a spell has 0 armor piercing. So even a unit with middling armor here, the Saurus Warriors are able to mitigate most of that damage, and it's really just not even worth the whomp. Whereas the Skinks, definitely it's worth it. If you get a big overcasted one down the line on like a Red-Crested Skink or something, it can do some work. So, looking around, Objective 2 goes to the Ogres, Objective 1 going to the Chungus Kingdoms as well, and I apologize in advance. There might be an edit coming up here in a minute because I can feel a dad sneeze coming on, and I wouldn't want to jump scare all of you guys. That might be the morning, some parts of the world, who knows, but maybe we'll avoid it. So now you can just live with that fear and anxiety that it's coming, but maybe it isn't. You know, it's like a horror movie. All right, guys, Objective 3 is owned here by the Lizards. Their spears were able to get the job done. Colossadon Hunters routing off some of the Ogre units here on the edge of the map. Now they're going to be consolidating towards the middle while the Salamanders continue to be a menace. And this is nice. Like, pull the Salamanders back, overextend these Ogre Bulls, and then Alpha Strike them with the Colossadon Hunters. And it looks like that's exactly what's going to be happening here. Another Chameleon Skink's going to be coming out. Lizard's going to be waddling to the middle with a large amount of Saurus Warriors. And this little hero, man, he's been going. I wonder what kind of value he's got. About 176 big time. I was actually going to guess 600, so completely wrong there. But it looked like he did good damage against the Slaughtermaster. I don't know. Colossal Strike's here. Let's see if Homeboy can get a karate chop here. We got to follow this hero's journey. Leadbelchers are just ignoring him. They're like, yeah, he's not even there, but he's got a big beat stick. And is he going to get it? Oh, I think he got bumped out of combat. Yeah, and the player hasn't re-engaged him, so he's just going to be standing there looking cool. Yeah, so sometimes if a unit gets bumped, it'll just stand wherever it gets bumped, and you need to re-engage it in melee. So a little bit of a micro tax there. Macro look, Objective 3 belongs to Lizards, and if they leave a Saur Spear there, it should be a relatively safe one. We can see the Skink Priest. So putting the Skink Priest on the edge of the objective will provide 3 capture weight, and then these infantry should be enough with the Flock of Doom especially. Ogres are hunkering down on what they have, though, and while the Lizards were focusing on Objective 3, they were able to ninja the other 2 objectives with their very trolly fast units. And value trading is 8,000 for the Ogres, 7.6 for the Shaft. We will see. Blood Vultures called in. Blood Vultures are a really good answer against Colossadon Hunters because they're infantry size, so even though the Colossadons will hit them hard, the Blood Vultures will trade up into them. It's pretty cost effective. Spears moving in. Going to be trying to get on top of the Lead Belchers. Going to need to get those guys on the objectives, I would imagine. And we do see the dinosaurs actually pushing the Ogres off the point. So the double Mournfang Cab retreating away, but now are they going to move back in and make a play for it? Really wishing they had a heal right now. That's a good wind blast right there, though. That was good. That actually hit a couple units. Salamanders unleashing their firepower, and even though they're not armor piercing, they still have a really substantial bonus for large of 26. Wow. So yeah, they can do some damage. Mournfang Cav going to be force pathing through, and Ogre's going to be making their stand on this objective. On the outside, the Lizardmen did not leave enough over here, and the Saurus are trying to keep it at bay here, but this is going to be a very, very dodgy game. The Lizards are kind of playing whack-a-mole a little bit, where they move around with their Saurus and their Cav, and they get one objective, but then the Ogres are able to ninja another one there, which is very, very strong. Little Gremlin Chief in the back, going to be trying to shut down shooting. Not a bad choice. You know, shutting down an 1,100 gold shooting unit with your cheap Lord is not a bad choice at all. And he's able to bonk in, and it looks like one of the Lead Belchers does get taken offline. And finally, we get to see him have some heroic plays as the Lead Belchers are just trying to karate kick him. And he does eat one of those giant pipes to the face. And is he going to get it back? I don't know. Looks like he's just going to chill in there. Nope, he does chase. He's able to take down another Lead Belcher right there. So homie is doing his job. Points are just dead even just about. Man, they're within like 15 points of each other. Very, very close. Currently, we do see the Lizardmen with a little bit of a points lead, but it could flip on its head very, very quickly, as we do see the Ogres getting 2 victory tickets per second and the Lizards getting only 1. On this point, we do have Noblar Flingers. Pigback Riders are going to be a big issue, and they are the Pigback Knights, so they will probably be able to beat these Golden Spear Riders, which is pretty nuts, considering how tattered and cheap they are. On the back, the Ogre Lord is running, and he's pretty quick. I believe he's got 49 speed when he's wounded and tired here and whatnot. And the Skink is a little bit slower. So at the very least, if the Ogre player does lapse in micro, the Shaft is going to be able to get the kill, and that would be huge. I mean, because most of the Ogre army is lower leadership stuff at this point. I mean, there are some Ogres on the field, but there's a lot of Noblars still fighting. And negative 16 leadership to those bad boys would probably lead to them breaking off the battlefield very, very quickly. Objective 2 belongs to Lizards, and Objective 3 to the Ogres. High ground belongs to the Ogres as well, but it looks like not for long, as a Chameleon Skink unit is able to grab this, and we do see the Colossadons as well as the Cold One Spear Riders providing a little bit of support on the flank here. And I do think this might be the beginning of the end for the Ogres. It seems like they're just losing momentum on the field, being pushed back. A lot of their Mournfang Cav are suffering. And are they going to have the power to reclaim another objective, right? Lizards get this one. We have a healthy Spear unit coming out. Probably could move that thing up to the high ground objective just to be really safe. Lord Sasbury and his Golden Spear Riders able to hunt down the Mournfang Cav and chase those guys back. Meanwhile, Colossadon Hunter is going to be diving down here, looking to maybe finish off the Slaughtermaster. Granted, not a good idea with the Mournfang Cav nearby. They'd probably be able to farm you. Leadbelcher shooting, probably going to want to try and get those Umbral Tide offline. Man, oh man, 2,000 value on the Umbral Tide. Those things have been feasting all freaking game. And now waves and waves of dinos are on their way over. And I don't know if the dinos are going to play for a triple cap. No, it looks like they're going to be taking more of a conservative play. Because sometimes, you know, you want to consolidate your strengths rather than playing too wide. If you were to make a play for this objective, there's a chance that you would lose the fight in the middle and lose that objective. It's a mistake a lot of people make. When games are closer than they, you know, you have the two objectives, you're in a winning position, you know, you think you're really pushing your opponent back, you go for a triple cap out of greed. Sometimes it's the right call, but oftentimes it can be a bit of a trap in my experience. Warframe Cav, able to get a nice win over here. They do defeat the Cold One Spear Riders. The Spear Riders are very, very damaged, but the Mournfang Cav are these actually just the sword version. They're a generalist version, okay. So they will kill infantry a little bit quicker than the anti-large dedicated variant, and they could make a play for the high ground. It's going to be some time. As it currently stands, we do see the Ogres just barely ahead, and now the Lizards are getting the 2 victory tickets per second, but seeing the Ogre Lord get karate chopped by the Salamander firepower is quite nice. Lizard's still moving about, and the Red Crested King Chief could be chasing those guys back. This has got to be GG. I don't think there's any way back from it at this point. With the Ogre Lord getting killed there, you're going to start seeing morale issues. These guys are tanking on leadership, and the Salamander able to use all of its payload right there. Yep, that's got to be it. There's basically no chance. I'll do a little bit of fast forwarding because it ain't my first rodeo. I think this game's over. Third objective. Now is the time where you go for the triple cap to really close it out. You got a big pick. You got the enemy Lord. Warfang Cav getting dragged down by Salamanders and just shooting there, and that's it. So really fun match. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. It was nice and sweaty. Very back and forth. Very even. And both players had little mistakes here and there, but overall, it made for a good game. So I do like the build. I don't know like how necessary the chameleons are compared to the basic variant, but I mean, they did really good. 1,000 value on those things. I mean, they feasted this game, man. They really feasted. And yeah, some of the classic tools. I'm really sad we didn't get to see the big T-Rex. Oh, wait, he did? Oh, he came out at the very end, I think. I think it was like at the last like minute of the game he was summoned in. But yeah, Spear Riders are amazing in this matchup. Colossadons did good. Salamanders for sure carried that game, though. They were the big pimps. Aside from that, there's the hiccup right there. If it's not a sneeze, it's a hiccup. Just, you know, just hashtag just mid, late 30s things. Lead Belchers are really good. They are amazing. If they hadn't been compromised so early, could have maybe swung the game the other way. It was that close. And I think that the Heaven's Magic was one of the weaker elements of the Ogre roster. The healing would be so much better, in my opinion. All right, folks, see you around. Take care of yourselves. That's going to be it for tonight. And yeah, we'll see you on the other side.